Dear students of Standard 6, welcome you all again to my today's online class. Today I am going to start your final term syllabus from your BGS book, Part Geography. From this book, we will read Chapter 3, 9, 10 and 11 as the part of Geography. And in your second term syllabus, I also had taken the class on Geography from your science book. So today I will start the class with Chapter 3, Lesson 1 and 2. So Chapter 3, Lesson 1 and 2. What is the name of the chapter? Bangladesh in the Global Geographical Environment. Bangladesh. It is our motherland. So Bangladesh is now the name of a proud country in the world as well. This country has occupied a place in the world map through a long political and cultural struggle and the Great Liberation War in 1971. To know the position of Bangladesh in the world map, some basic concepts about the globe we need to know at first. What are those? Here follow. In order to determine the position of a place on the surface of the earth, the measures of its distance from the equator either north to south and its distance from the Prime Meridian either east to west should be known. So now what is equator? Follow. Here the equator, the imaginary line which passes through the center of the earth from west to east and keeping the earth into two equal halves. It is the equator which is determined by 0 degree. And from this 0 degree up to the north pole, which is denoted by 90 degree north, this up to this part, it is the northern hemisphere, and from the equator 0 degree up to 90 degree south, that means south pole, this is the part of southern hemisphere. And here one thing also you have to know, that is this equator is also known as the Great Circle. And the line has surrounded the earth from west to east in a full circle position. And among all these circles running west to east, the equator's length is the maximum. For this reason, it is known as the Great Circle. And this equator has divided the earth into two equal parts. I told you that is the north and the south. And northern part is known as the northern hemisphere and southern part known as the southern hemisphere. Now, here are some important or major four lines we have to know, that is the Tropic of Cancer, which is situated in the northern hemisphere, Arctic Circle, which is also situated in the northern hemisphere. This Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle, the major latitudes of the northern hemisphere, and Tropic of Capricorn and Antarctic Circle, these both are the major latitudes of the southern hemisphere. Now come to the point. What is Tropic of Cancer? The imaginary line which passes from west to east in the northern hemisphere and denoted by 23.5 degree. It is known as the Tropic of Cancer. In Bengali, it is known as Korkot Kranti Rekha. And the Arctic Circle, what? The imaginary line which is also passes from west to east of the earth, through the earth, and which is denoted by 66.5 degree. It is known as the Arctic Circle. In Bengali, it is known as Sumeru Britto. And the same lines which are situated in the southern hemisphere, Tropic of Capricorn, the imaginary line which passes through the earth from west to east, but in the southern hemisphere. So this is the Tropic of Capricorn. In Bengali, it is known as Mokor Kranti Rekha, also denoted by 23.5 degree. And Antarctic Circle, it is the Kumeru Britto, and which also the imaginary line passes through the southern part of the earth, denoted by 66.5 degree. It is the Antarctic Circle. These are the basic concepts about these lines. Now we will know the parallels of latitudes. From the equator, each and every 1 degree interval, if we want to move from equator up to 90 degree north or 90 degree south, we will get 90 latitudes in the northern hemisphere and 90 latitudes in the southern hemisphere. So all these latitudes or these imaginary lines are known as the parallels of latitudes. That means these lines drawn parallel to the equator and both on the north and the south of the equator. And these latitudes are also the complete circles surrounding the earth from west to east. And now we will know about the prime meridian. That is what prime meridian follow. In order to know the position of a place from the latitudes, there are many imaginary lines drawn. These joining the two poles and extending from the north to south. So this imaginary line which passes from north to south known as the prime meridians, and this imaginary line from north pole to south pole which passes through Greenwich town near London is termed as the prime meridian, and this value of the prime meridian is also 0 degree. And this from this prime meridian we can separate the eastern longitudes and western longitudes. Here is the prime meridian, and behind this prime meridian the same line also the position of 180 degree. So here 180 degree east virtually divided the circumference of the earth into two equal division. So 180 degree east and 180 degree west longitudes are actually in the part of prime meridian. So this from this prime meridian we can count the each and every longitudes towards the eastern side and towards the western side. So eastern part 180 longitudes and western part 180 longitudes. So in total 360 longitudes we will get, and we know the circumference of the earth is 360. Now follow what is equator. The imaginary line running from west to east through the center of the earth which is at equal distance from the two poles is called the equator. Parallels of latitude, what? The lines parallel to the equator both on the north and the south of the equator are called parallels of latitudes. That means in Bengali it is the Shomakho Rekha. Here what is axis? That is the imaginary Okkho Rekha jeta, the imaginary line passing through the center of the globe from the north to the south is called the axis. This is and depends on what the earth rotates from west to east, and here the northern extreme point of the axis is termed as the north pole and the southern extreme point is known as the south pole. And what is prime meridian? Follow north to the imaginary line from north pole to south pole which passes through Greenwich town near London is termed as the prime meridian, and the value of this prime meridian is 0 degree. And what is longitudes? The angular distance of any place from prime meridian. If we want to know locate the position of any place, eastern part or western part, we must have to start our counting from the prime meridian. So the angular distance of any place from the prime meridian, either east or west of it, is called the longitudes. Now come to the point. If we want to find out the position of Bangladesh in the world map, what do we have to do? First, what you have to do, you have to find out in the globe where is equator. So first locate the position of equator, then go to upper part, northern hemisphere. We know Bangladesh is situated in the northern hemisphere. Which part? The eastern hemisphere, eastern part. Which continent? The Asia continent. And Asia continent, southern part of this Asia continent. So follow here the southern part. This is the northern hemisphere, eastern part. Here is the Asia continent, and here is the position of Bangladesh, southern part of Asia continent. So as we know, the continent consists of some countries. So we know there are 7 continents. Later on I will discuss. First follow what is continent. We know the continent is one of several very large land masses and generally identified by convention rather than any strict criteria. Up to 7 regions are commonly regarded as continents, ordered from largest in area to smallest one. So first largest one Asia continent and smallest one the Maldives. So follow any of the large unbroken territory in the world is called a continent, which is generally isolated from one another by what? By mass of water. And there are 7 continents in the world. And the name of the continent in which our country is included, that is the Asia, and Asia is the largest continent of the world, and it is not only the largest continent but also it's largest in population also. So follow here the continent's name. What? This is northern hemisphere, this one is southern hemisphere. This prime meridian divides it into two parts. So here follow the equator divides the earth into two equal parts from west to east, that is the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. The prime meridian divides the earth into two parts, the eastern hemisphere and western hemisphere. So follow here the equator, here the Asia continent in the northern hemisphere, eastern part Asia continent, and here is the position of our country. And here we have to come to know that there are 7 continents in the world. What are those? Asia, Europe, Africa, North America, South America, Australia and Antarctica. And these are the continents. Only 29% of the world area is landmass, you know from your science book, and 71% the water body. So the rest of mass is water, that is 71%, and many islands and group of islands. We can say if we say this is the Sri Lanka and Maldives, so many islands and group of islands are also situated on this mass of water. Though they are separated from the main landmass of the continent, but they are also part any of the continents. And the natural scenery of islands and group of islands is very charming. Beautiful tourist centers have also developed in there. So let's see the name of the continents. 7 continents: Asia, Europe, Africa, North America, South America, Australia and Antarctica. And name of the 5 oceans: the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, the North or the Arctic Ocean, the South or the Antarctic Ocean. Let's know the geographical location and area of Asia continent. Asia occupies 1/3 of the landmass of the globe. The area of Asia, the largest continent of the world, and the area of Asia is 4,46,14,000 square kilometers. If the area of Europe and Africa is added, or if North and South America are united, so they will not be equal to the area of Asia. It's just an example. What's the population of this continent? 442 crore, 70 lakh people live in this continent. And Asia is not only large in area and population, most of the ancient civilizations developed here. That is Chinese, Mesopotamian, Persia, Hebrew and Indus civilizations thrived here. So you know, I think you know from the history, chapter 2, the world civilization. And to know about the ancient civilization of Bangladesh, you have to know the ancient civilizations of the Indian subcontinent. And we can start from here, that is the Indus civilization. This civilization is the first and urban civilization in the Indian subcontinent. And here this civilization developed in 2700 BC on the bank of the rivers named the Sindh, the Saraswati, the Hakra, etc. And this Indus civilization is also known as the Harappa civilization. And at the time of this civilization, the cities of Indus civilization and advanced town planning is also found. City roads, dustbin, road light, drainage system, all were well planned in this at the time of this civilization. And here also we know about the Chinese civilization. Follow here about this Chinese civilization. So Chinese urban civilization developed on the banks of the river named Huanghe and Yangtze in 2000 BC. And several dynasties of China played a special role in developing this civilization. And the most astonishing, the Great Wall of China we know that established at the time of this civilization. Now this Mesopotamian civilization developed on the fertile soil of the bank of the river Tigris and Euphrates. And the word Mesopotamia means the land between these two rivers. In this region, several civilizations developed at different times. And Persian civilization, also we know that is in the ancient period, the present country named Iran was called Persia. The Persians developed a civilization in 600 BC. Emperor Darius they contributed much to the development of these civilizations. And what is the Hebrew civilization? The Hebrew civilization was one of the most influential civilizations in the western part. So here another one, what is the about Asia continent? Two remarkable monuments of civilization, that is Great Wall of China and the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, are situated in this continent. Here look at the picture. Here you are observing this Great Wall of China, the most attractive part of this Great Wall of China, and this wall had been built for a few hundred years to defend China from the attack of the enemies. And here is also this Hanging Garden of Babylon. The new Babylonian city was enclosed by a 56-mile long wall, and here the whole wall was gardened. So in history this garden is known as Hanging Garden of Babylon. So students, one work for you, that is new 7 wonders of the world. You have to write this at least 5 points against every wonders of this world, and inbox me. It is your assignment for 5 marks. So today up to this. Thank you all. Take care. Stay safe.